Right, guys. Beautiful morning here. It's been thunder and lightning. Somebody was angry last night up in the heavens. Thunder and lightning all night long, and it's even louder here in the mountains because we're nearer up into the ether, you know. So, but I like it. I like the thunder and lightning. It clears the atmosphere and charges it up. My water outside, it's charged up. Um, so I'm going to bring that in soon. So I'd like to talk about that's the weather out the way. As usual, we can't not mention the weather. May the 8th. Right. So choices. It's kind of sort of to do with this Taoism thing and philosophy really. And we're going to be faced with a lot of choices um, in our life, and a lot of them start like pretty early on, you know, and they're going to shape our early life, and that's where we make a lot of mistakes as well, um, which can take a long time to rectify or not be rectified at all. You know, if you make the wrong choice, you do the wrong dangerous sport or whatever, um, all that kind of stuff. So most of your choices are going to be starting around 16 to 18. You might have already made some bad choices by then, or good choices, you know. But like there's where the big choices start, and one of them is 18 is further education these days. I mean, in the old days when I was a student, we didn't get into this debt thing. It just didn't happen. We used to get a grant actually from the local education authority if you were lucky. I got one. It was pretty good. And the other one is the choice of the course that you're going to do. And there's a lot of useless courses out there, and there was then. So we used to have like polytechnics and universities. I think they're all called unis now, um, for one reason or another. But like, I would say do a course, choose a course which is kind of suits your kind of um, preferences. You know, whether you're an academic or whether you're practical. I did engineering and management, construction, which suited me, and it worked out well. That was a good choice, and it was a good choice then to go to polytechnic. So there's one big choice, and another one can follow on, and not long after you leave college. Oh, and another word on college, I would say the best route these days is kind of do day release if you can get a job and then do it that way, day release, or get a job and then save up and do it later on when you've got a bit of money behind you, and so that's the way I would say do education. So there's your first big choice probably, and then you know at the same time you're probably going to be learning how to drive and things like that, and do you get a car straight away, which a lot of students do now. But like I would say, like possibly that be a bit early if you haven't got any income apart from credit debt, then don't buy a car, which you're probably going to get a loan for anyway as well. Double debt straight away, and the next thing you're going to be making a decision about, maybe not straight away. People do it later now, is whether you're going to have a family, kids, or get married, which I would also say is a flawed. It's a flawed system because there's no it's like politicians when they give you a manifesto. it's like kind of the same. They don't have to do any of the promises or vows afterwards, which it's not really a contract then, is it? It's not a proper contract where you're held to what you've signed up for, and that's kind of the same in marriage, really, and it's kind of split between the legal world and the church in some kind of strange way, and unless you go to like the registry office, but there's still a religious tie, tie with it, Anyway, that's that. So it's whatever you decide, and then all the other choices come, but like some of the big ones are like daily choices. What you're going to do this day, and there's a few of the choices, the big choices out the way. So what are you going to do each day? Are you going to get in more debt, or are you going to save money? And I watch quite a few things about like these conspiracy things and about how we're forced into things. And as far as I'm aware, I've never been forced into anything, actually physically forced into anything, ever. 62 years. So it's a choice at the end of the day. And you might guess what I'm talking about, some of the things. But like, I watched Richard Vobes, and he's kind of saying he's waking up and all the rest of it. And first of all, he was on about the councils and the government. They should be helping us, and we should make them help us. And it doesn't work like that. Politicians and councillors aren't there to help you. Never have been. So you just keep out. You keep out the way of them. You don't. All this not paying council tax and stuff like that. You can try it. And you can listen to these people who say they don't pay this and they don't pay that. And then they let it slip now and again that they've been in prison or had the house taken off them. My advice would be council tax is the least of your worries. Just if you're buying a house, just pay it. Because you do get something for it. And the sovereign man and all that stuff, you don't have to do any of that. You can be sovereign by making the right choices. The last thing you want is getting involved with bailiffs and police who usually come in the same crew at the same time. Don't get involved with all that. Don't get involved with bailiffs, and it'll all be down to like this council tax stuff or not paying things. Just don't buy a house if you don't want to pay council tax. Don't buy a house, or don't rent a house. Go do something else. Live in a camper van, or there's plenty of things you can do. Or become an eternal student. They don't pay council tax. So that's just an aside anyway. So they're the choices you make, and then you can choose whether you're going to fight the system or protest the system. Like I'll go back to Richard Vobes again, because he's kind of getting away from that now. He's realising that that's not going to help you. You've got to do your own stuff and keep away from these people. Don't attract them. Don't attract bailiffs. Even if you think you're going to win, you don't want them knocking at your door. You don't want to deal with it, and you don't have to. I've never seen a bailiff or a copper or anything knocking on my door. Never. Don't see anyone. And that's through navigation. Through you keep out the way. Called the Grey Man. Another conspiracy theorist stuff. Anyway, so that's that choice. Now the other choices are whether you want to get into debt or you want to get in charge of your finances, and that will be also entwined in what career you choose whether you get something decent paid, or try to. You can usually, if you work hard enough, and you can usually choose where you're going. And then it's how you do that with your taxes and all that. I made a great choice, which was become freelance and then do it through a limited company basis. And that means that they've got to get the tax off you at the end of the year. You don't pay up front. Like PAYE, you're taxed at source, you're taxed straight away. Now, even with the limited company, you can actually use that tax money in that year to do other things. As long as you're good with money and you've got enough for the tax when the day comes around. But you've usually got you've got like another year to pay that year's tax. You put your accounts in and it doesn't have to be paid then for I think it's another year or 6 months or whatever. I think you put your accounts in, say April, and you've got to pay it then by December. So there's another. You've been earning that money since the year before. So that was pretty good. That's a pretty good choice. So you work in the system, you learn the system, and you use it. You don't fight against it. I mean, use their system. And there's various ways you can do this. Work the system, And it's all to do with choices all the time, every day, when you get up. And the other thing he goes on about, Richard, is the food and what they're making us eat kind of thing, and what they're forcing us to eat. And no, you can eat whatever you want in any given day. You can eat nothing, or you can eat eggs, or you can eat Cheerios, or you can eat whatever you want, really, within your budget. Or you can even, if you're in debt, use your credit card. These are all your choices every day. And it's about navigating through and kind of learning, see what's coming, Say, hang on a minute. If you want to buy a car, these loans, what they give you, like, they're like, the APR on them is ridiculous, and you've got to look at all these things and don't get into it. You don't have to. There's ways and means of buying a car. You get a loan from somewhere else. Things like that, But back to the diet, I mean, it's up to you what you eat. It's just as cheap to eat good food than it is to eat junk food. Most of the time, junk food, pizzas and all these pastries and carbs, and the cheap. And pizzas are expensive for what they are. Just pure junk food, pure carbs, and that kind of thing, So it's not all the government's fault, and I think Richard Vobes is realising that now. It's up to you to do these things, and like in cities, I realised years and years ago that cities were getting toxic, and that is where all the busybodies hang about, all the jobsworths, all the police, all the people that you don't want to be running into are in cities. By and large, I mean, you do have a few people knocking about in the rural areas, but not many. Not many. It's all concentrated in cities. All the toxicity and all the leftist people and people like that, they're all in cities. And all the ghettos are in cities. Just get out of them. Get into like a smallish town or a big, a decent town. And they do exist. They do exist. I live outside a town, so the town is there for me. when I need it and when I want it. And apart from that, I don't go there. That's it. That's just a town. And a city, I don't have to go to really any cities, really. Maybe now and again you have to go in for something like a passport or something like that. You can do most things online anyway. So that's another thing. That's a choice where you're going to live and what you're going to do. That might influence your career as well, But you can usually work in a town and live outside, not far. I would say, I'm only about 6 miles from town here, but it's in the middle of nowhere. It feels like the middle of nowhere, because the town is a rural town anyway. So that's another choice where you live. It's all choices, and people who say, oh, they're doing this and they're corralling us into these 15-minute cities and they're going to do that and they're going to do that and they're making us take this and do that. They're not. It's all a choice, and it always was. And that is one of the rules of these higher up so-called elites, they call them, don't they? And one of them is they make it your choice. And by and large, I've never been forced to do anything. 62 years. Physically forced to do anything. Nothing. Even get, medical treatment or health, take vitamins or anything. Eat certain kind of food. I have never ever been forced by anyone to do anything. Smoking, drinking, it's all choice. It's all choice, and it's these choices are every day, and you can reverse them the next day. Once you find out like it's a bad choice, you might be hanging it out with the wrong people or the wrong partner. You can change that. You don't have to really, you don't have to do anything that you don't choose to do. So that's my view on people saying they're forced into these things and society's this and that, the other. And so that's that. And the other thing is where you're going to live. Now, one of the big reasons I left the UK was that like 60 to 70% of the population are now politically correct in one way or the other. They've all got these views, and so a choice is you either stay there or you leave. And I left, and I'm in a place which isn't so politically correct now, which it suits me better. Now, another choice is with the system type thing, whether you're going to be an activist or you're just going to get out of the way. Now, protesting and things like that, I find largely pointless unless it goes all the way, like the French Revolution or something like that. Or there was a kind of a revolution in Romania, a proper one. Now, they may be worthwhile. That worked out better for the people, actually. But like these protests, where especially in the UK, the structure of a protest is ridiculous. What you do is you get permission. You'd ask for permission to protest. I mean, that's a bit counter sort of intuitive, isn't it? You're asking them, can you protest against them? And they say, well, yeah. And you give them the route and everything, and you tell the police, and they can't wait. They're waiting for you. And if you're of the wrong opinion on something, it's full riot gear, and they're going to be provoking you and carting people off into the cells and beating people up to a pulp. And so that's protesting, and that's another thing about choice. And the people you're protesting against, the police work for them. They don't work for you. You think they do, and you keep saying, like, you work for us. Well, they don't. They don't. So you keep out of the way. You keep out of the way of police. You keep out of the way of bailiffs. All those people, you don't have to see them. I never see them. Never. And I wouldn't go to a protest and put myself in a bad position like that. Non-conformity is the best thing. And there are places where usually it's to do with, which was the last thing in the Tao, is positioning. You put yourself in a place where you don't deal with all that stuff. You get you get away from the governments, and we don't really have governments in Bulgaria anymore. We've got another caretaker government now, and they're going to have elections, and they're already saying that they won't be able to make a government. And the way all the parties are at the moment, they're never going to be able to make one, which is great. And you know what? The place is okay. We don't need them. People don't need them. That's what people don't realise. You don't need them to tell you what to do, and it's largely self-governing here, self-policing. People sort themselves out, and that's what's great. So the protesting, and then you go to the end of the protest, and you're shouting at these buildings, and like they make sure they're not there. If there's a protest, it's going to be like maybe a big one, or they're not there. The best way I saw things like that about protesting against, you find out where they live, or you go to their individual office and you serve them notice. That was absolutely fantastic, and people are still doing that now. They're serving them notice about things, and that works. They're scared of that. They're not scared of you in the street getting battered by the police. That's for sure. Protesting, and then you'd all go home. It doesn't make, well, for me, it doesn't make a lot of sense. But when they serve them notice and things like that, that's really good. That's their system working against them, if you like. So there's a few things to think about choices, and we really do have choices. And I'm pleased with some of the choices I've made. I made some bad choices, which you're gonna do, you're gonna do. But I never made any bad financial choices, really, or buying property or anything like that. They were all decent choices, and my career was a good choice. But there's a few bad choices. I was a heavy smoker one time. That was a bad choice, but I reversed it, made a good choice at the end to stop it. There's another thing, an example of, it is a choice, and you can reverse them by making another one. Okay, hope you enjoyed that. Hope I didn't say choice too many times. Cheers, bye.